Have you ever wished there was a simple, gentle way to ease some of the everyday issues that come with getting older? Today, I want to show you something that might surprise you. A way to use plain baking soda water that's helped many of my older patients feel better naturally. Sometimes the smallest discomforts become the most persistent ones. You know that burning feeling in your chest that sneaks up after a meal? That's not just annoying. For many older folks, it becomes a daily frustration. What's happening inside is simple. As we age, the muscle at the bottom of the esophagus, that little valve that keeps stomach acid in its place, can weaken. At the same time, stomach acid may not be properly balanced, and that leads to heartburn. Many older adults try to avoid certain foods or eat less just to prevent the burn. And while over-the-counter antacids may help for a little while, they don't always solve the deeper issue. If you've been feeling that post-meal discomfort, waking up at night with acid in your throat, or even feeling nervous about eating your favorite dishes, you're not alone, and there's something worth trying that might help, gently and naturally. I remember one of my first experiences with this was with a man named Walter. He's 71 now and spent most of his working life delivering mail in Iowa. A tough man, not one to complain, but when he came to see me, he looked worn down. "Doc," he said, "I don't enjoy food anymore." For Walter, dinner had become a battle. Even a slice of bread or a piece of grilled chicken would leave him pacing around the living room afterward, trying to shake off that sour burn in his chest. He had tried everything. He cut back on tomatoes, skipped coffee, gave up on dessert. He even slept on 2 pillows just to keep his head up at night. Medications helped a bit, but only for a few hours, and he didn't like taking pills every day. Then there was Marcia, 68, from Phoenix, a retired piano teacher who loved hosting small dinners for her family. She told me she stopped cooking altogether because she was afraid of her own meals. "Even soup gives me trouble now," she said quietly, embarrassed. Both Walter and Marcia felt like they were losing not just comfort, but a piece of their life. That's when I mentioned something simple, something they already had in their kitchens. I explained how a mild homemade solution, not a replacement for any medication, but a natural aid, might give their digestion a hand, especially when used the right way. What often helps in cases like this is drinking a small glass of warm water mixed with about half a teaspoon of baking soda. Sip it slowly, not fast, and always after a meal, never on an empty stomach. Doing this once a day, especially after heavier meals, can gently help balance stomach acid and ease that burning sensation. It's not a miracle, and it doesn't work for everyone. But for many, it brings real comfort without the need for constant medication. Always remember, don't do this every day for weeks. Moderation is key, and it's best to talk to your doctor if you take regular prescriptions. The ability to enjoy food, to eat without fear or discomfort, is a kind of freedom. You deserve that. Sometimes healing starts with noticing what's simple and listening to what your body needs. Even this small act, a glass of baking soda water, can be a quiet gift to yourself. You're not trying to be perfect. You're just trying to feel better, and that's more than enough. Another issue that tends to sneak up with age is that uncomfortable feeling of fullness, even after eating just a small meal. You might feel bloated, lose your appetite, or just not want to eat at all. The thing is, our digestive system naturally slows down over time. The stomach doesn't empty as quickly. The enzymes that help break down food aren't as abundant, and everything moves a little slower. It's frustrating, especially when you want to eat well but feel worse afterward. Many older adults tell me that they start skipping meals or eating less than they should, and before long that leads to fatigue, weight loss, or even depression. If you're noticing that your appetite is fading, or your belly feels uncomfortable after a simple breakfast, it might not be the food. It could be the way your digestion is working. Let me share a few moments that stayed with me. Doris, 76, from Columbus, Ohio, is one of those women who always looked put together, with a light scarf and a kind smile. When she came in for her visit, I noticed she had lost weight, not the healthy kind either. She told me, "I just don't feel hungry anymore, and when I do eat, it's like I swallowed a rock." Doris loved oatmeal in the mornings, but even that made her uncomfortable. Another patient, Ben, 70, a retired mechanic from Oregon, said lunch felt like a chore. "I eat, and then I feel like I need to lie down for an hour," he said. Neither of them had serious conditions, just slow digestion and a sensitive gut. I knew we needed to help their bodies ease into the day more gently, not with pills or supplements, but with something simple. I remembered how my grandmother used to drink warm water with a little baking soda in the mornings when she felt off. So I passed that idea on, not as a cure-all but as a gentle nudge to get things moving again. One of the easiest things to try is this. Once or twice a week, on an empty stomach in the morning, drink a glass of warm water with just a pinch of baking soda stirred in. Not too much, and about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Drink it slowly before breakfast and give your stomach about 15 to 30 minutes to settle before eating. This little routine can help support your digestion without being harsh or overwhelming. You don't need to do it every day. A couple times a week can be enough to feel the difference. And always pay attention to how your body responds. When we age, our bodies speak to us differently. The hunger you used to feel may be quieter, but that doesn't mean your body doesn't need nourishment. You deserve to enjoy meals again, to feel light, not burdened. A warm glass of soda water in the morning is a quiet way to say to your body, "I'm here, I'm listening, and I want to help you." Here's something else I've noticed over the years. More and more older adults tell me that their joints ache even when they haven't done much. The stairs become harder, morning stiffness lasts longer, and even opening jars or getting dressed feels like a chore. This kind of joint discomfort isn't always from injury. Often it's from low-grade inflammation building up in the body, quietly, slowly, day after day. As we age, the body's internal balance, especially its acid-alkaline pH balance, can shift in ways that make this inflammation worse. A more acidic environment inside the body has been linked to increased joint pain, stiffness, and swelling. It's subtle, but real. And what's tricky is that this kind of inflammation doesn't always show up in blood tests. You just feel it. If you've been waking up sore or you notice the pain flares up after certain foods, you're not imagining things. Your body may be asking for a little help. I remember a lovely woman named Harriet, 68, retired school teacher from North Carolina. She loved knitting and gardening, but had to give up both because her fingers hurt too much. She told me it felt like her hands were rusting from the inside out. She had tried pain creams and even wore gloves at night, hoping warmth would help. Then there was Leonard, 73, from New Mexico, who used to walk 3 miles every morning. One day, he told me, he woke up and his knees just refused to cooperate. "It's like they've turned into concrete," he said with a sad laugh. He wasn't overweight, he stayed active, but still, the pain was wearing him down. In both cases, we tried something basic before resorting to medications. We looked at ways to gently lower inflammation from within. I asked both Harriet and Leonard to start paying attention, not just to what they ate, but also to the body's internal chemistry. And that's where baking soda water came into the picture. One of the simplest things you can do, just twice a week, is drink a glass of water mixed with about 1 to 3 teaspoons of baking soda. Do it between meals, not with food, and not more than that. If you like, you can add a few drops of lemon juice. It won't cancel the effect, and some folks find it makes the taste more pleasant. This small drink can help gently reduce the body's acidity and support a more comfortable internal balance. Don't expect instant magic, but many older adults I work with tell me that over time, their joints feel a little looser, a little more willing to cooperate. That's a good start. Pain has a way of making the world feel smaller, but your world doesn't have to shrink. Movement, comfort, and the freedom to do what you love, these are not things of the past. They're still yours. Sometimes a gentle gesture toward your body, like a glass of baking soda water, can be the first step toward opening that door again. Let's talk about something most people don't expect. Feeling tired even after a full night's sleep. You go to bed early, you don't toss and turn, but when the sun comes up, your body still feels heavy, your mind cloudy. This morning, fog is more common than many think, especially after 60. It often has less to do with sleep itself and more with how the body clears waste overnight, how it manages hydration, and how its systems wake up. As we age, the body becomes more prone to subtle imbalances in pH and hydration, especially if we drink less water or eat foods that are more acidic. These imbalances can leave you feeling weighed down. The kidneys work a bit slower, the cells retain waste a bit longer, and you may find that your energy is always one step behind. If you've ever thought, why do I feel like this if I didn't even do anything? You're not alone, and it's not your fault. Let me tell you about Leonard, a retired bus driver from Oklahoma, now 74. Every morning, he said, felt like dragging himself out of concrete. My eyes open, but my body just doesn't want to join the day, he told me with a half smile. He thought it was just part of getting older, but I could see in his posture that something deeper was going on. Another woman, Angela, 70, from Michigan, used to teach yoga. Now she found herself staying in bed past 9 a.m., not because she was lazy, but because her limbs just didn't want to cooperate. It's like my engine won't start, she said. Neither Leonard nor Angela had major health issues, but their internal systems needed a little support, not caffeine or sugar, but something that spoke to the body's chemistry. I asked them both to try something that my grandmother quietly used for years and that I've since shared with dozens of patients, something that supports hydration and helps gently realign the body's internal balance first thing in the morning. What I often suggest in these cases is a simple morning drink, just warm water with a pinch of baking soda and a few drops of apple cider vinegar. Try it once or twice a week on an empty stomach. Use about 1 to 4 teaspoons of baking soda in a glass of warm water and only 3 to 5 drops of vinegar. Sip it slowly, wait 15-20 minutes, then eat your usual breakfast. This mix helps many older bodies wake up, not just with alertness, but with smoother digestion, lighter joints, and less inner heaviness. The key is to go slow and notice how your body feels after. It's not a cure-all, but for many, it's a quiet nudge in the right direction. Each new day is a beginning, and beginnings should feel hopeful, not heavy. Your body may need more time now, but it still remembers how to move, to think clearly, to feel light. With just a bit of gentle help, like this morning ritual, you might feel the sun reach you a little faster, and that matters. There's something many older adults quietly struggle with, and it's more common than you'd think: blood pressure that seems to have a mind of its own. One day it's fine, the next it's spiking, and you can't figure out why. You're not eating too much salt, you're taking your meds, you're trying to stay calm, and still, the numbers jump. As we get older, the body's ability to manage sodium, fluids, and vascular tone shifts. The kidneys may slow down, circulation becomes a bit more rigid, and even small imbalances, like hidden acidity, can influence how pressure behaves. That internal tension isn't always from stress. Sometimes it's chemistry. The vessels are under constant low-grade pressure, and over time that can wear on your body and your peace of mind. If you've ever sat still and felt your heart working harder than it should, or you've started avoiding the pressure cuff out of frustration, you're not alone. I think about Robert, 75, from Amarillo, Texas. A proud man who served in the Navy and now enjoys woodworking in his garage. He came in one day clearly tired of the routine. "Doc, I take the pills, eat the bland food, but it still creeps up," he said, shaking his head. He'd gotten used to the idea that high blood pressure was just a part of getting older, like gray hair or slower legs. But I knew Robert's body was still trying to work with him, not against him. Then there was Janine, 72, from Charleston, South Carolina, a retired librarian, gentle and observant. She tracked every number, every meal, and still couldn't get her pressure to stay consistent. "I feel like I'm failing my own body," she whispered once. That hit me. These weren't people who ignored their health. They were doing everything right. But sometimes what's missing isn't discipline, it's balance. And in many cases, I've seen that gently supporting the body's internal pH, reducing excess acid, can make a surprising difference. Not a replacement for medicine, of course, but a companion to it. So here's a gentle habit to consider. Once or twice a week, drink a glass of room temperature water with about 1 per 3 teaspoons of baking soda mixed in. Do it away from meals. Mid-morning or mid-afternoon works best. This Tiny ritual can help your body manage internal acidity, which in turn can ease the burden on your vessels. I always say, it's not about fixing everything, it's about creating small moments of support. And if you take medications, check in with your doctor first to make sure this fits into your plan. You're not failing your body. Your body is trying every day to stay in balance. And you're helping it, even if the numbers don't drop. Overnight, you're giving yourself a chance to feel steadier, more in tune. Imagine your blood vessels as quiet rivers. This small step is like clearing the stones so the water can flow. It's gentle. It's enough. There's a topic most people would rather not talk about, but it comes up again and again in my work with older adults. Constipation. It's not glamorous, it's not fun, but it's real, and it can weigh on your whole day. Many seniors quietly suffer from irregularity, often blaming themselves, thinking it's just slowing down. And while that's partly true, the digestive tract does get more sluggish with age. There's more to the story. The colon becomes less responsive. The muscles involved in elimination weaken, and medications or limited mobility can add to the mix. What starts as a small inconvenience can snowball into bloating, discomfort, appetite loss, and even shame. I've had patients cancel plans, avoid travel, or stop eating normally just to stay regular. If that sounds familiar, know this: you're not alone and you're not stuck. I remember Mary, 80, widowed, living alone in a quiet part of Vermont. She was always cheerful on the outside, the type who sent handwritten cards for every birthday. But one winter visit, she admitted, "I haven't gone in 4 days. I'm scared to eat." Her eyes welled up. For her, it wasn't just about physical pain. It was the anxiety that came with not knowing when relief would come. Then there was Charles, 69, a former electrician from Nevada. He was strong, active, walked his dog twice a day, and yet he said his bathroom schedule had become unpredictable. "I never thought I'd be planning my mornings around this," he joked, trying to mask his frustration. They both had tried fiber supplements, prune juice, even over-the-counter laxatives, but the problem wasn't what they were adding. It was how their systems were reacting. In both cases, we needed to gently stimulate the gut without shocks or chemicals. That's when I suggested something simple and surprisingly effective that could fit right into their morning routine. One of the gentlest approaches I've seen work is this. Every 3 to 4 days, early in the morning before breakfast, drink a glass of warm water mixed with about half a teaspoon of baking soda. Wait 20-30 minutes before eating. The warmth helps wake up your system, while the baking soda can encourage the gut to move without being harsh. It's not a laxative, and it's not meant for daily use. But for many older adults, it brings gentle, welcome relief and helps re-establish a rhythm that feels natural again. We don't always talk about the quiet discomforts, but they affect everything: how we eat, how we sleep, how we feel about ourselves. Regularity isn't just about comfort, it's about freedom. You deserve to feel light, not burdened. A small act of care, a warm glass in the morning, can bring your body back into rhythm, like music finding its beat again. That matters, and so do you. Here's something we don't always connect to overall health, but it affects everything: the quality of your sleep. I've spoken with so many older adults who say, "I sleep, but I don't rest," or "I wake up 3 times a night and then can't fall back asleep." Aging changes sleep patterns. That's natural. But when the body becomes slightly more acidic or digestion is active too late in the day, it can disturb the deep rest we need. Our nervous system doesn't fully settle, the mind stays a little too alert, and the body doesn't shift into true recovery mode. For some, it's tight muscles at night. For others, it's a vague sense of discomfort that keeps them tossing and turning. If you've ever stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m. wondering why you're wide awake, even though you're exhausted, this might sound familiar. I think of Joyce, 72, a retired florist from Oregon. She told me she hadn't slept through the night in years. "Even if I fall asleep, my body pulls me back awake," she said, almost whispering. She stopped drinking caffeine after noon. She turned off screens early. She even tried chamomile tea, but nothing seemed to help. Another story that stuck with me was from Tom, 74, from Georgia. A retired firefighter, He said nights were the worst part of his day. "I'm tired, but I'm wired," he said, "like my engine won't shut off." For both of them, I gently suggested looking at sleep, not just as a mental issue, but a body chemistry issue. What if their system needed a signal to wind down, not just emotionally, but physically? That's where a simple evening habit came in, something my grandmother used, and something I've shared many times since with quiet success. Try this gentle routine. 2 to 3 hours before bed, pour a glass of room temperature water. Stir in 1 to 4 teaspoons of baking soda and a few drops of lemon juice, just enough for a mild taste. Sip it slowly, not all at once. This helps the body shift from acidity to a more neutral state, which for many people makes relaxation easier. Do this just once or twice a week to start, and don't mix it with other supplements or evening snacks. It's a gentle way to tell the body, it's time to rest. You deserve peace when you lie down at night. True rest, not just sleep. Think of this evening drink like a soft blanket for your insides, a way to settle everything that's been stirred up during the day. The body remembers how to heal. Sometimes it just needs a little help settling in for the night. If any of this spoke to you, I'd love to hear what part felt most helpful. Leave a comment below and let's learn from each other. And if you haven't yet, tap that subscribe button. We're building a space for support and hope. You're not alone, you matter, and the best is still ahead.